In these scrolls, we find biblical manuscripts, copies of the Bible that are 1,000 years older than any previously known copy of the Bible, as well as a treasure trove of documents that we had never seen before.
This isn't just another old book. This is the Ethiopian Bible, one of the oldest and most complete scriptures on earth. It already contains books the rest of the world banned, like the Book of Enoch. But a newly found fragment, a lost chapter from those forbidden texts, has been revealed. It contains knowledge so terrifying about our origins that it completely reframes human history.
The name Jesus is a Greek invention, a mistranslation, a name that never existed until the Roman Catholic Church rewrote the story of the Bible. But what if one of the oldest Bibles on earth, written in a Semitic language and untouched by the Western world?
It explains why humanity is the way it is. And the crazy part is, it's not our fault. The oldest Bible's hidden page. These books are priceless. They are written on goatskin called vellum in the ancient Gaz language, which is the ancestor of modern Ethiopian languages. The illustrations are still bright, filled with colors that have somehow survived for over 1,000 years. But the age isn't even the craziest part. The real story, the one that's being kept quiet, isn't about the Gospels themselves. It's about what was found with them.
The Bible, as we all know, is a collection of many different books. It's not a single book, it's a collection of many different books. And different denominations of Christianity will sometimes disagree about which of all these different possible books are actually canon, actually part of the biblical canon, and which count as apocrypha, for example.
So here's the deal. A few years ago, a team from a British charity was working to conserve these priceless books. They were building a special case to protect them. The monk who was guarding the Gospels brought them out. As the restorers were examining the ancient binding, one of them noticed something strange. A small flap of leather, so old it had basically fused with the cover, seemed loose. This wasn't part of the original design. It was a patch. With extreme care, they used specialized tools to see what was underneath. It wasn't just a repair, it was a hidden pocket. And inside that pocket was a small, folded piece of vellum separate from the main text of the Gospels. It was written in the same ancient Ge'ez script. The monks at the monastery had no idea it was there. It seems this single page had been hidden, maybe even by the original scribe almost 2,000 years ago. When the text was finally translated, the restorers were stunned. It wasn't a part of the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John. It was something else. It appeared to be a fragment, a lost chapter from another ancient text. A text that the Ethiopian Orthodox Church includes in its Bible, even though the rest of the world rejected it.
The Book of Enoch is nuts. It's 100% a legitimate text. It's legitimate religious text, but they decided not to include it because it's so nuts and because it goes against what the writings of the Torah.
This was a lost piece of the Book of Enoch, and its message was terrifying. It contained a secret about the human race that we were clearly never supposed to find. This single page detailed the true origin of our darkest impulses. The Ethiopian Bible, or the Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church's biblical canon, is amazing. While the standard Protestant Bible has 66 books, the Ethiopian canon has 81 books. It includes texts like the Book of Jubilees and, most importantly, the Book of Enoch. The Book of Enoch is an ancient Jewish text, and it tells a wild story that sets the stage for this new, terrifying discovery. It describes a group of angels called the Watchers who defied God. They descended to earth, took human wives, and had children. But this new lost chapter goes so much further. It explains what the Watchers did to us. It's not just about forbidden love and giant offspring, it's about a fundamental corruption of the human race. This lost page reveals a truth we were never supposed to know. The angel's darkest secret. To understand why this new page is so shocking, you have to know the original story from the Book of Enoch. The standard version is already pretty wild. It says that 200 of these Watcher angels landed on Mount Hermon. They were led by an angel named Semyaza. They saw human women and lusted after them. This was their first sin. They made a pact, binding each other with curses to go through with their plan. They came down, had relations with the women, and the women gave birth to giants, the Nephilim, who were said to be 450 feet tall. These giants ate all of mankind's food, and when the food ran out, they began to eat humans. But that's not all. The Book of Enoch says these fallen watchers taught humanity forbidden knowledge. An angel named Azazel taught men how to make swords, knives, and shields, basically the art of war. He taught women the art of deception, how to make jewelry and apply makeup. Other angels taught the secrets of sorcery, astrology, and cutting roots for medicine, basically everything that would lead humanity astray. Now that's the story we had, and it's already a lot. But this newly discovered page, this lost chapter found in the Garima Gospels, adds a layer that is so much darker. The crazy part is, the old text was just a summary. The new text is a detailed account. It says the Watchers' greatest sin wasn't just teaching us to make weapons. Their sin was teaching us to want to use them.
I think that when you even go into potentially the technology that was given to mankind by these angels, it talks about the hidden beliefs and theories in astronomy, etc., metalworkings, all of it.
The lost chapter describes humanity before the Watchers as being incomplete. Peaceful, yes, but also simple. The text says we were designed to walk with the earth, living in harmony. The lost chapter describes a ritual where the Watchers opened the mind of man. They didn't just give us knowledge, they implanted a seed, a shadow of their own fire. This seed was the real knowledge of good and evil. It was the seed of ambition, of greed, of ego, and of the capacity for ultimate self-destruction. The text is very clear. It says the Watchers didn't just corrupt us with ideas, they physically changed us. They unlocked something within the human blueprint, something that God had intentionally left dormant. It was a glitch, a crack in the design that they forced open, and through that crack they poured in their own essence, pride, rebellion, and chaos. The Nephilim, the giants, weren't just a byproduct of their lust, they were the first experiment. The new chapter calls them a failed attempt. The successful attempt was what they did to us. The Watchers didn't just teach us, they rewrote our very being. The truth about human nature. So, here's the deal. This lost chapter presents the most terrifying knowledge of all. It's the idea that our worst impulses aren't really ours. Think about it. Why does humanity again and again choose conflict? Why is history just a long list of wars, one after another? Why do we build things only to tear them down? According to this ancient text, it's not just human nature, it's a corruption in our code. This seed or glitch that the Watchers planted, the text calls it the echo of the void. It's a ticking time bomb inside the human soul. This knowledge is terrifying because it removes our sense of control. It suggests that every time a person feels consuming rage or jealousy or an unquenchable thirst for power, they are not just having a bad thought. They are feeling the echo of the Watchers' rebellion. What most people don't realize is this makes us a hybrid race. Not physically, but spiritually, we are part designed and part corrupted. The lost chapter explains that this is why humans are the only creatures on Earth that actively work against their own survival. A deer doesn't build a factory that pollutes its own water. A bird doesn't create a weapon that can wipe out its entire species. But we do. And we do it all the time. The text describes this corruption as a hunger that cannot be filled. It's why billionaires need more billions. It's why empires need to conquer one more country. It's a spiritual sickness, a fever of the soul that the Watchers infected us with. And the most terrifying part of all, the chapter says it's permanent. It's passed down from generation to generation. It's in all of us. We were designed to be partners with the planet. But the Watchers turned us into its masters, and in doing so cursed us to destroy it and ourselves.
We have chemical, biological weapons capable of wiping out life on Earth.
This knowledge is devastating. It suggests that our struggle for peace isn't a simple choice between good and bad. It's a constant internal war against a foreign infection that has been part of our DNA for thousands of years. The terrifying knowledge isn't about a monster coming from the sky. It's about the monster that's already inside. This glitch has a purpose, and it's leading us to a final dark end. The secret keepers of Ethiopia. This raises a huge question. If this knowledge is so important, why haven't we heard it before? Why was this chapter hidden? And why was the entire Book of Enoch banned from the Standard Bible in the first place? The answer is a cover-up, an ancient conspiracy. What most people don't realize is that the Book of Enoch was extremely popular in early Christianity. Many of the first church fathers quoted it. The biblical letter of Jude quotes Enoch directly. It was considered scripture by many. So, what happened? Everything changed with the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD and the councils that followed. This was when the leaders of the early church, under the direction of the Roman Emperor Constantine, met to decide what would be in the Bible. They were standardizing their religion, and the Book of Enoch, with its wild stories of angels, giants, and forbidden knowledge, was a problem. It was too weird, too out there. But this newly discovered lost chapter suggests a much darker reason. Imagine you are a church leader trying to build a new religion based on hope, redemption, and free will.
But what's interesting is that even if that's the case, though, you have the Ethiopian Orthodox Church that actually, there's Ethiopian Jews. You actually have a division of like the Ethiopian Jewish class that actually recognized Enoch.
You're trying to tell people they can choose to be saved. And then you have this text, the Book of Enoch, and especially this lost chapter which says, yeah, about that, your free will is compromised. You are all infected with an incurable glitch from a fallen angel. You can't build a church on that. That's a message of despair. It's terrifying knowledge. It suggests that humanity is a lost cause, a failed experiment. The book was declared apocryphal, which is a fancy word for banned. It was scrubbed from the record. But here's the catch. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church was one of the oldest churches in the world, founded long before the Roman Church had all its power. They were isolated, protected by the mountains. They already had their copy of the Book of Enoch. They knew its value. They refused to give it up. So why hide this one chapter? The monks of Abba Garima weren't part of the Roman cover-up. They were protectors. They believed the rest of the Book of Enoch was a vital warning. But this one page, this knowledge was too much. It was truth too heavy to bear. They believed that if humanity knew its own nature was permanently corrupted, we would simply give up. So, they hid it. Not to deceive, but to protect. They tucked it into the binding of their most sacred book, the Garima Gospels, trusting God would reveal it only when the time was right. But if they hid it, why is it being revealed now? Humanity's last chance. This brings us to today, right now. If this lost chapter is real, its discovery isn't an accident. It's a warning. So let's talk down to earth here. People watching this are looking for a mystery, for some answer to what's going on. The thing is, you have to wonder. You look at the world, the news, the way people are at each other's throats. Does it all feel unnatural? Does it feel like things are speeding up, getting more chaotic, like some invisible force is pushing us toward a cliff? This 2,000-year-old text, found in a remote Ethiopian monastery, might be the why. It's not just a history lesson, it's a diagnosis for the human race. The terrifying knowledge is that the glitch is reaching its end game. The fever is breaking. The seed planted by the Watchers is finally blooming.
God, Hashem, in his wisdom, decides to give the Watchers, this specific group of angels, a holy task. They weren't supposed to directly interfere with humanity, but to just quietly guide people and make sure that humanity grew according to God's plan.
Basically, we're living out a script written thousands of years ago. The lost chapter ends with a chilling prophecy. It says the corruption will grow, generation by generation, until it consumes the mind of man entirely. It says a time will come when brother turns on brother not for food but for shadow, and that humanity will build towers of fire that can consume the sky. That sounds a lot like our modern world, doesn't it? Division for the sake of division, weapons that can destroy the planet. Are we missing a key detail? We've been looking for the enemy on the outside in other countries or in other beliefs. But this ancient chapter says the enemy has been inside us all along. The Watcher's echo is getting louder. The thing is, the monks hid this page to prevent this. But now it's been found. The knowledge is out. The secret is revealed. And maybe that's the point. Maybe the only way to fight this corruption is to finally know it exists, to look it in the face. To understand that the darkness we fight is not human nature, but a foreign infection. The terrifying knowledge is a mirror, and it forces us to ask, are we in control, or are we just puppets fulfilling an ancient dark design? Did these ancient monks hide the truth to protect us, or were they just delaying the inevitable? Let us know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more hidden mysteries.